Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 208 of the Falcoholic Live. As you can see, we are joined by a special guest. He is Eric Robinson of ESPN at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, how are we doing tonight?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I can't complain. How you guys doing?
Good. Well, we got the final roster here, Eric, so we knew we had to get your take on things now that it's settled. Also joining us tonight is my co-host. He's Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. Adnan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Ready for football after one more weekend. One more weekend, and then we're back.
Yep, one more weekend. We're almost there, guys. I am, of course, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic. Kevin, we're going to bring you guys lots of roster takes tonight. I still don't think this is the final roster. For the record, the Falcons did claim 2 players off waivers, who we're going to talk about first. They did also have to cut 2 players to make room for those waiver claims. I think those guys will be back tomorrow, more than likely, assuming they don't get signed by somebody else, because I believe the Falcons are going to put several players on short-term IR. You just have to wait until the rosters are set before you can do that. So I assume this is just sort of a procedural thing while they figure out exactly who they want to put on IR. I don't really think they're going to go into the season with, 3 safeties and, 5 corners. I just don't think that's going to happen. So we're going to see some shuffling going on. So don't get too caught up in Mike Ford and Dean Marlowe being cut. I suspect they will be back pretty soon. But yeah, let's kick things off with the waiver claims. We got offensive tackle Chuma Edoga, formerly a 3rd-round pick of the Jets. The Jets parted ways with him after camp. He seems like he's being brought in to be a swing tackle, perhaps, because the Falcons don't really have anyone that can play left tackle other than Jake Matthews, which is a problem. So Eric, I'll let you go first. You got any Chuma Edoga takes for the people?
It was a mild surprise to see them claim him or even show interest in him. He was like you mentioned, 3rd-round pick out of USC back in 2019, I believe. Had an up and down career with the Jets, mainly down. Saw a lot of his time there at right tackle, but as you mentioned, he's probably better suited left tackle. I don't expect a ton from him. I think this is more so just shoring up depth. And if this is the route they go with shoring up depth, I'm fine with it. Again, I don't think he's. You mentioned it today on Twitter. You pointed out his run blocking grade.
Yeah.
Comparing that against his pass blocking grade, and his run blocking grade is much more significant, which stands out because this appears to be a scheme and approach that they take this year where they're probably going to run the ball a lot more than we've seen him in years past. So I think, he's still young. He's only 25, so he's still got a little room to grow. Again, I don't want anybody to look at this and say, hey, they're getting a young diamond in the rough here that can turn out to be a future starter. Like, I wouldn't place my bet on that. At the least, again, it improves the depth of the offensive line. Like you said, he's better suited at left tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if he's more of the swing tackle type.
Yeah.
Even with Ifedi there in the building, but I think it's a decent move in that aspect.
Yeah, he has some potential still. He's only 25, but yeah, I think they probably want him to be like, okay, look, if God forbid anything should happen to Jake Matthews, he has to miss any time. It's like, okay, we're just gonna run the ball to the left side. Like, we're gonna put Chuma in there, and we're gonna run the ball over there, and we're just gonna rely on that. And after they cut Rick Leonard, they didn't really have anybody that could play left tackle. So I agree with your assessment there. Adnan, you got any takes on Chuma Edoga or the other waiver claim defensive lineman Matt Dickerson of the Chiefs?
Chuma. Let's just say that he doesn't really solve the pass blocking issues that the Atlanta Falcons O-line has had the past few years. In fact, it would be, I think, very bad if we saw him playing extended snaps. That would mean that probably Jake Matthews got hurt, which, hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's just a couple of depth signings. I don't think either one will really make massive I don't think either one will be massive, like huge, high impact players on either side of the line. But it's always good to have some depth.
Yeah, not really. Like the Chuma Edoga one is maybe more interesting because this is a guy that is probably going to be active. I don't know that Matt Dickerson will be active on game days unless there's some injuries. We'll see. But yeah, I like the Chuma ad. I think as a swing tackle he's fine. But yeah, nothing too spectacular. And I wouldn't be shocked if these last few spots they just sort of shuffle. I mean, they did that a lot last year. They just sort of shuffled guys at the bottom of the roster. So it could be a fluid situation there. But like we said, Jermaine Ifedi's got right tackle backed up very well, but they needed someone to back up left, and that's what we're doing with Chuma. And then Matt Dickerson, we'll see. He's much more of like a 3-4 defensive end type of player than like a Timmy Horn, nose tackle. So it'll be interesting to see what they. I know he was with the Titans originally for a while. So
yeah. So Pease, this is a Pease. Dean Pease call here. He played 2 seasons under Pease, so this is probably so like Pease kind of putting in a word form. I want to go back to Edoga real quick. I do like the fact that because this is something we didn't really see under Quinn, where normally depth would be addressed with a swing tackle that can play both sides, and then that's it. But with this coaching staff here this year, at least this approach, they're having depth at both left and right tackle, along with having depth, in the interior as well. So I do like the fact that they're going out of their way to say, hey, you know what, we feel we may have a starting 5 as far as the offensive line goes, but we do want to stockpile some depth behind it because again, teams in years past didn't. It was more so like having that swing tackle, having maybe one or 2 guards, if that, and hoping for the best.
Yeah, no, I actually like that because it's very different playing left tackle and right tackle. So having one guy that has to be your backup at both, he can't possibly be as comfortable at both spots. Like it's just not possible.
Right.
So
and
having
he should be starting.
Yeah, then he probably should be starting, right? So I like it. They did this all through camp where they sort of had the 2 tackles sort of side specific. And the thing is also that both these guys can play guard. I know a lot of people actually thought Chuma was going to switch to guard at the NFL level. I don't think he hasn't really. He's maintained playing at tackle, which is impressive considering I think he's 6'3" and isn't the longest. So, I mean, that really speaks to how good he is as a run blocker if he's able to survive at that height. He does, yeah. Yeah, he was a high. Yeah.
He can get out and move.
Mm-hmm.
It's the consistency.
Yeah.
You'll get one good play and then you'll get a bad series. And then you'll get a couple good plays and then you'll get another bad. It's just he wasn't able to put it all together in New York. And some of that may be due to the Jets coaching staff. Let's be honest here. He wasn't with the greatest of offenses, the greatest of offensive staffs in New York with the Jets. So, I don't want to sit here and say this kid is, bad at football entirely. I mean, the Jets as an organization haven't been that great anyway.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But hopefully, just a reserve that doesn't need to see the field more than a handful of snaps here and there.
Right.
Victory formation. Yeah. So those are the 2 waiver claims. To make space for those waiver claims, we did see Dean Marlowe, the safety, and Mike Ford, the corner, cut. Deep reserves, guys that were going to be special teams standouts. These guys aren't really in danger of getting claimed or signed. So that's why they picked those guys specifically to cut. They're probably going to be brought back, guys, I would say tomorrow more than likely, because I think they're going to be putting Marlon Davidson and possibly John Fitzpatrick on IR, but I don't really know. I think they're going to be putting 2 players on IR. I just don't know which 2. So we'll see. We'll see.
I would think both of those guys are going to IR. Is Trey Sermon a Falcon yet?
I mean, apparently he wasn't even a 49er. Like, you never saw him. So.
He should have a jersey by now. I need Terry to get on top of that.
I mean, I wish Trey Sermon was good. My dynasty team certainly does, but
We'll be asking the same thing about Davis Price exactly
Yeah.
1 year from now.
At least he's named after Game of Thrones, right?
Kyle Shanahan just has this affinity for drafting running backs he hates in the middle rounds. Excuse me.
Yeah, all running backs. He's an equal opportunity running back lover. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty of the actual roster here. Some of the surprising cuts. We'll start with the cuts first, guys that I was kind of surprised by. Basically guys that I thought were going to make the roster that didn't. Not super surprised by Derek Tangelo getting cut. I thought he was sort of a wild card there. Maybe someone that could have made it, but didn't quite. It seemed like the team wanted to keep the second nose tackle more, and they kept Timmy Horn, which is, of course, one of the notable keeps. But the tight ends, they really cleared out the tight end room with Anthony Firkser and Michael Pruitt going on the waiver wire. So let's start there at tight end, where the Falcons only have 3 true tight ends. I mean, Felipe Franks probably going to play tight end most of the time. But now, what do you think about the Falcons rolling with just Kyle Pitts, Parker Hesse, and the rookie John Fitzpatrick to open things up?
I mean, it's not that. Well, hold on. You're forgetting about my guy Felipe Franks.
I said he was, technically he's not a tight end, but we all know he is a tight end. So of course, talk about Felipe Franks too.
Yeah, I mean, I can always talk about Felipe Franks. No, I was actually really shocked that. Well, actually, I wasn't shocked at all that Felipe Franks made the team. Never mind. Felipe Franks was he was a standout in training camp, and Arthur Smith had nothing but compliments for him. I was kind of surprised that Michael Pruitt didn't make it, to be honest. He is on the practice squad, but I thought that just having that NFL experience plus knowing this offense and hitting the ground running in training camp when he was signed, I thought that would be enough for him. But it wasn't. He had some nice catches in the preseason as well. I think it shows what they think of Parker Hesse and John Fitzpatrick. I was questioning if Fitzpatrick was going to be was even going to be on the roster, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Parker Hesse made it in general. I thought that with with Felipe Franks, they would run 3 tight ends and then kind of think of him as that de facto 4th tight end, and then use that extra roster spot somewhere else, because you would essentially have Felipe Franks as that emergency quarterback. But it's a testament to probably the job that Parker Hesse and Fitzpatrick, the job that they did in practice, and what the coaching staff saw in them. Hesse had some nice plays. He caught that touchdown against the Lions. He had that near catch earlier in the game against the Lions, I think on that drive actually. But yeah, I am surprised that the Falcons are running with 4 tight ends, not named Franks, and that Michael Pruitt wasn't one of them. But it's just it's a testament to these young guys, and Hesse's a guy that's been here in Atlanta for a few years for a couple training camps. Fitzpatrick was just drafted, and I'm sure the Falcons. I'm sure the Falcons couldn't cut another Georgia Bulldog after cutting the first Georgia Bulldog that they drafted. What message would that send to the fans?
Gotta keep at least one dog on the roster.
Gotta keep at least one dog on the roster. That's that's the new rule with the Falcons moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Tucker Fisk made it as well, right?
No.
Oh, he
not
did.
that I would be. I guess I should check before I say absolutely not. No, it's just. They actually funny enough, they changed Felipe Frank's designation to tight end as of today, as far as I can tell. He's listed at tight end now. So
the Falcons
Kyle Pitts, Hesse, Franks, John Fitzpatrick is the 4.
Pitts, Hesse, Franks, Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Fitz didn't make it either. So yeah.
Wait. So
Franks is officially listed as a tight end now.
Okay.
But this is the first time I've actually seen that. He's been listed at quarterback up until I think yesterday. So
All right, well, the team is just throwing us curveballs.
they just want to give us
I
stuff
feel
to
like
talk
Arthur
about.
Smith is just having way too much fun with the Felipe Franks experiment. I think he just wants to fuck with the media at this
He
point.
does, for sure he does. So that does not surprise me at all. Yeah, Eric, I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well. The tight end depth chart, and then any other guys that you were sort of surprised got cut.
I mean, are we really surprised that they keep him for?
No. I'm surprised Ferkser wasn't one of them. Yeah.
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 No, I thought they were going to keep 4. I just thought Ferkser would be one. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought Pruitt would be a one too. Like,
I thought
I only
Pruitt
got
went
2
out
of
over.
4 right.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
I thought Pruitt would win out over Hesse. Ferkser would be on the roster by week 1. I'm not worried about that because I think we all know for sure like Fitzpatrick is going on IR. And once that happens, it's going to open up a room. It's going to open up a spot. And I'm pretty sure Ferkser is going to be one of the first guys to get a phone call. So I think going into week 1 against the Saints, they're going to have 4 tight ends. But I'm with Adnan on that one. Like I kind of thought Pruitt would be on the roster over Hesse just because of familiarity. But they decided to practice squad him, and we'll see what happens from there. This whole Felipe Franks experiment.
He looked really good in camp. He didn't do like a ton in the preseason.
So good. He was my
so
favorite
good.
part of
Yeah.
camp. Come on,
So,
Eric. You can't hate on
Arthur
Felipe.
Smith can't help himself.
He's
Like,
Arthur Smith's Taysom Hill. You got to let him have
No, but see, okay, this is what's going to upset me, because what are the odds? Well, you know what? Let's ask this question. What's the over/under on how many games Felipe is going to be active?
He was active for a lot of them last year, or for more than I thought.
But now he's going to as a tight end 4.
Right. Which
What's
they
the
did
over-under?
activate sometimes, but
What's the over/under on how many times he's going to be activated?
I think he'll technically be activated just because they need that emergency quarterback. Now,
if he's the emergency QB, they might. Yeah.
Yeah, if he'll play or not, I don't know, but I don't think that they, especially with Mariota and Ritter being, scrambling guys and Mariota not knowing how to slide, I think they definitely want that insurance. Now, I don't think the team will be good with Franks at quarterback, but maybe you could throw Jared Bernhardt out there as an emergency quarterback. Okay, he won a D2 title.
He did.
Because my problem with this is going to be, hypothetically, if he's active for maybe, I don't know, a handful of games, what's the point?
Well, yeah, I mean, that 4th tight end may not be active anyway, so I guess it's sort of like maybe I think they were getting him a lot of special teams work too. So if he's your emergency quarterback and a core special teamer and a depth tight end when they're going to use like a lot of 2 tight end sets, I think it's likely that he'll be activated most weeks, but I just don't know exactly what the special teams role is going to be.
If he's activated on most weeks and the playing time he's getting is special teams, okay. But if he's honestly only seeing the field maybe 4 games, 5 games out of the entire season, what's the point? I don't get it. I don't like it's wasting, it's burning a roster spot.
Yeah, I
don't understand.
Yeah. So I understand. Yeah, I got you.
If he's going to be listed as a tight end 4 and he's going to be active, he better be getting playing time on special teams at the very least. And if he's not, we're burning a roster spot. This could be used for this could be used for, maybe another gunner at wide receiver, like having a guy like Darby out there, like someone that can actually, or having Allison back, like something, even though he's with the Cowboys now, but having someone that can actually give you minutes with the 3rd unit.
He needs to play special teams, but I think that he will. We'll see.
Yeah.
Certainly has the build for it to be a good special teamer. Got that height, that length, that speed. But we just haven't seen it in the regular season really at all. So I suspect Arthur Smith is obsessed with Franks. I'm sure he's going to figure out a way to get him activated on most game days, Eric. You know this. As long as we don't see any Wildcat stuff, I'll be okay.
Well, look, that's the last thing I want to see. I never understood this whole Felipe Franks experiment anyway. Sure, he's a good athlete. All right, great. He made a few catches in practice. Cool. Did he even catch a pass in preseason? I'm not even quite sure he did.
I think he did. He caught one, I believe. He was targeted, I think, 3 or 4 times. He had that almost like circus catch too. Yeah. But
he also had the option.
And then he looked like death against the Jets, against the third team.
Yeah, that was the quarterback performance was uninspiring to say the least. Yeah.
Freaking brutal to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're gonna go out of your way to have this many tight ends, if he's gonna be your tight end 4, and if you're gonna keep him active for most games, he better be playing special teams. And if not, if it's a situation where we're seeing week after week after week after week, Felipe Franks is inactive, he's a healthy scratch. Again, why? I'm not getting it.
Yeah. And, they do keep it's usually 3 or 4 guys that are going to be game day inactives like every week. Like several of your roster spots are going to be like, so if they want, I guess you're saying you would rather have a different developmental guy than Franks.
I'd rather have a practice squad guy and have him as a healthy scratch than if he's going to be a healthy scratch week in and week out, I'd rather have Darby on the active roster that can be a gunner for me.
That's fair.
Than just standing on the sideline in a hoodie and.
Yeah, I think he'll be playing special teams. I think so.
I also do think Eric's right that we I know people are asking about Ferkser in the chat. I think Eric's right. We will see Ferkser back with the team.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
They didn't sign Ferkser to the squad. They signed Pruitt to the squad, which means they're bringing back Ferkser.
Yeah, I'm literally just under the assumption that Ferkser is on the team. Yeah,
I think so.
And a actual weapon in the offense.
Used.
Yeah, he looked really solid this preseason. Really, I really like what I saw out of Ferkser. He actually exceeded my expectations a little bit. So and I think it's going to be a key component to the offense going forward.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm interested to see what happens there. The other one that was a little bit surprising to me was Nick Kwiatkowski getting cut in favor of the undrafted rookie Nate Landman. So that one was kind of surprising to me. I don't know if that was shocking anyone else. I mean, he missed a lot of the preseason with an injury, so that was maybe part of it. But
I mean, Nate Landman looked good.
He did. He did.
He was out there. He looked good in training camp. When I was out of Flowery Branch, he looked good in the preseason. But yeah, Nick Kwiatkowski, I think that's just a testament to the job that Landman did, because Kwiatkowski was that veteran, and I legitimately thought Kwiatkowski would be a contributor when we first signed him.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I don't know exactly why. But did you have anything else you wanted to add?
You guys really think they're going to carry 5 inside linebackers?
Probably not. I mean, I wonder. Well, I thought that they would, if they were trying to keep Deion Jones to trade him at some point. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. I mean, I think they want to trade him still. I think they want to trade him.
That's the only reason why I see them having 5 linebackers right now.
Yeah.
5 inside linebackers right now.
Yeah.
Because I think they're still fielding calls for him. And they wanted to be prepared.
Yeah.
Landman looked solid. I like what I saw from him. I think, injury bug is what tripped up Kwiatkowski a little bit here, but I don't expect them to have 5 inside linebackers for long.
Yeah.
I suspect that he's going to be gone soon.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean,
are we going to discuss him tonight? Are we going to dive into him tonight? Because I still think he's an interesting topic.
Maybe you haven't got it. Yeah, I don't think you've had a chance really to talk about him. I mean, we've talked about him a couple times, but I'm interested to get your take on the Deion situation. I mean, it seems like he's sort of made it clear that he's okay playing a depth role and playing special teams this year. And my guess is they're just trying to facilitate a trade, and maybe that means holding him until the trade deadline. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say too.
I'm fearful of the logjam that it's going to create for. Let's just hypothetically say they want to keep him, and they want him to kind of sort of like earn his starting job back. I'm afraid of what it would do for the development of the guys behind him. You spent the high draft pick on Troy Anderson. You know, Michael Walker is coming into his own a little bit. You know, we still have yet to see entirely what he can do on the field with a full-time starter's gig. He was pretty much in and out of the lineup last year. So now that he's penciled in as a starter prior to Deion Jones coming back, you know, with Deion Jones back in the fold, I don't know if the team is going to say, hey, you know what? We do like him. We like what he brings. He wants to be here. Let's, you know, let him earn his job back. I just don't know what that will say to the guys behind him long term. Like, again, I feel like that would definitely stunt the growth of one of those guys, if not both. And that's what I'm fearful of. I'm fearful of this situation going where he comes back, he actually plays decent this year, the team keeps him long term. I'm almost at a point right now where I feel like there's no turning back on both sides. It should be no turning back. We've reached this point. Let's just go ahead and move on.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, I think honestly, it's just when the offer comes. Like, I think if they get an offer for him, they will move him. But if they don't, it seems like they're willing to hold him until the trade deadline at least.
Right.
To see if they can.
Understandable why they haven't at this point. Of course, I mean, come on, teams are not going to trade for an injured linebacker. That's, you know, his reputation is starting to be questioned a little bit around the league, right, as far as his work ethic and his attitude. You know, teams are not really going to, you know, trip over themselves to come for him. So they're probably taking an approach like, hey, let's just see this thing out to trade deadline maybe, and, you know, let teams see him on the field, and then let teams pick up the phone at that point. It's just an interesting scenario, interesting situation here, because you can't help but wonder, like, man, what if, you know, Deion Jones really would be a great fit in this particular scheme. And I know we've talked about it in past episodes, questioning his work ethic and his approach to the game, and how, you know, his effort level hasn't truly been there for the last year or so. But I'm at a point right now where I'm almost where the team should just be, okay, you know what? There's no turning back. We got to this point. Let's just move on from Deion Jones. Let's start anew with Troy Anderson and Michael Walker and move forward with that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, let's talk about the notable keeps here, the guys that did end up making it. The big one, obviously, being wide receiver Jared Bernhardt. Everyone excited about that one. Happy to see Bernhardt make it. You know, I didn't know if the roster math would work in his favor, but the Falcons clearly made it work because they probably feared he would be poached. So yeah, Adnan, I'll let you take the first crack at that. Are you excited to see Jared Bernhardt make it, and do you think he'll actually carve out some sort of offensive role this year?
I'm incredibly excited to see Bernhardt make it. I even wrote up an article that's going to be published tomorrow, just talking about the journey that Bernhardt went on to get to this point. And, you know, more than anything else, I think it's just such a cool story. Like, Jared Bernhardt has, I think before this offseason, he had no experience playing wide receiver in an organized setting of football at all. Maybe he did in Pop Warner. I mean, not that I know of, or middle school or whatever. But in high school, he was a dual threat athlete. He played quarterback and he played lacrosse. He was a lacrosse prodigy, the number 3 ranked player in the nation in lacrosse. And he chose to go to the University of Maryland as a lacrosse player. And it was a pretty good decision because, you know, he became their greatest player of all time at that sport, 4-time All-American. He won the Tawarantian Award. I don't know how to pronounce it. Basically, the lacrosse version of the Heisman. He was a finalist twice. He's Maryland's all-time leader in points. And then, hey, at the end of his senior year, he decided to graduate transfer, went to Ferris State as a quarterback, led them on an undefeated season where Ferris State won their first ever Division II championship. He led the NCAA in rushing touchdowns. And then he comes to Atlanta as an undrafted free agent, and he beats out 7 other guys who have been playing the wide receiver position all their lives. And I legitimately think that his performance was so good that it made the coaching staff slightly reevaluate the roster structure. I don't think that the coaching staff wanted to carry more than 5 wide receivers just because of how prolific Kyle Pitts is as a receiver. Pitts is pretty much a de facto wide receiver anyway, but the wide receiver room was essentially Zacchaeus, London, Edwards, and then you kept Kaderil Hodge for his special teams prowess and Demir Bird because he can take the top off the defense, and not many other guys on this roster can. And I think that Bernhardt was just that good that I don't think that they thought he would make it to the practice squad. They didn't think he would make it through waivers. And my theory is that they decided to keep him as a 6th wide receiver just because he was that impressive, and he was.
Yeah.
Against the Jets, he had 3 catches. Each one went for a first down. Each one was instrumental in putting together 2 scoring drives, 67 yards, a game high in just 1 quarter. Had the game-winning touchdown catch against the Lions. He only had 7 snaps in that game, and yeah, just it's one of the coolest stories in football right now. And it's just a testament to his work ethic. I don't think that he'll have a huge role unless there's some injuries ahead of him on the roster. But I think just the fact that he's even made it to this point and is on a 53-man roster is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for Lacrosse Hive. I know there's some Lacrosse Hive folks here tonight. So I love Lacrosse Twitter. I love all you guys who are just so high on him in training camp and really driving, the hype trade for him. And Bernhardt, I think Adnan nailed it with him. This is a guy that is such a natural wide receiver. This man had never played it before, as far as we know, prior to this training camp. The Falcons have him come in and basically become a better wide receiver than like Adnan said, about 7 guys that basically had been playing wide receiver their entire lives.
Some of these guys were veterans,
Yeah.
Allison has regular season experience. Auden Tate has regular season experience. Frank Darby was a Falcons day 3 draft pick last year. These guys weren't just slouches at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
Geronimo Allison was catching passes from Aaron Rodgers a few years ago. So
Yeah. Exactly.
And to be honest, I did not think Bernhardt had a chance when he was first as an undrafted.
No chance in hell.
It's cool. They got this Lacrosse guy,
Yeah, I thought it was practice squad guy. He sounds really interesting, So.
But it's I didn't think he'd beat Auden Tate out for a position.
Yeah, that was a big shock. That one happened early. But
good in training camp either.
No, he those first couple days he had some highlight catches, but that was bad.
You know what? I think the one moment this preseason that I think really turned heads was when he caught a touchdown on Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
I think that one particular moment was oh, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. This is
enjoying practice.
The first joint practice. I believe it was the first day of joint practices against the Jets. Top 5 pick, a guy that everyone in Atlanta loved. Most of the fans wanted Sauce. And Jared, coming off his game winner against Detroit, catches on a really good post route against Sauce Gardner. Catches it, uses his body, shields the corner, makes sure Sauce doesn't, interfere or anything. Really good catch. And I'm oh, okay, wait a minute. Now that kind of caught my attention a little bit.
Yeah. But
the kid was given an opportunity and he ran with it, man. Hats off to him. It is a great story. This is a kid that just like Adnan pointed out, just started playing wide receiver in May.
Yeah.
And he made a 53. Then not practice squad. He made a 53. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, impressive stuff, certainly by Bernhardt. So good for him. Let's see. I know we talked about. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Just one more note. I looked up how much professional lacrosse players get, and yeah, it's no surprise why he decided to try his hand at the NFL. I think for Premier League lacrosse, the average salary is like $35,000.
Oh, wow.
Now keep in mind, this kid's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
Forget the wide receiver. He's a hell of an athlete. Like Adnan pointed out, he won the award for the best lacrosse player in college. So this kid's a hell of an athlete now.
Yeah. He was a D2 winning quarterback and the conference player of the year and his one fall as a quarterback. And he could have easily been a professional lacrosse player and a damn good one at that.
Yeah.
But I get it. There's no money in lacrosse. I'm sorry. There's just not.
If you can play football, I mean, I get it.
How much is it?
$35K
for Premier League lacrosse is what I saw on Google.
$35K annually.
Yeah, I think that's.
I just found out today the practice squad salary,
mm-hmm.
and it's 11. It's 11 a week. 11.5. 11,500 a week for the guys that are like 2 years or less.
Yep.
So he could make more just being
on the squad for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Just being on squad, just being on practice squad, not even playing.
Yeah, and this is off RookieRoad.com, so you don't blame. This isn't me pulling it out of my ass, but on average, a professional lacrosse player in the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League, makes $35,000 a season.
It's not great.
And a player in the National Lacrosse League, the NLL, makes an average of $15,000 per year.
Wow.
So that's
not great. Yeah, that's not great. Not great.
I would also try my hand at an NFL spot.
Definitely.
11,000 a week, guys, on the practice.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty good if you can stick around all year. That's
right.
A hell of a salary. So, the other two defensive linemen that I thought were kind of surprising. I mean, not that they were like bad or anything, but like I didn't know if they would make it. Quentin Bell, that punt block probably had something to do with that one, and then Timmy Horn, the nose tackle, sort of confirming that they do want a second nose tackle on the roster. Eric, I'll give you a chance to talk about those two or anyone else that you were sort of surprised ended up making the roster.
And I'm surprised Tangelo didn't make it, man.
He had that really good last game. Yeah,
I really like what I saw from him this preseason. I thought outside of Grady Jarrett, I thought he was the best defensive lineman this preseason.
Yeah.
He made plays, and even in practice, he was sticking his nose in business he didn't belong in. This guy he's pretty active. He's not the biggest, but he plays bigger than his size. I think he's like 6'1", 295, maybe something like that. So he's not a huge guy, but he's active. And you can look at that last game against the Jaguars and see what he can provide. I'm surprised that guys like Timmy Horn made it over him. I know they probably want to keep a second nose. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's why.
And largely because if Vincent Taylor was still here, then no offense to Timmy Horn, but that would be Vincent Taylor's spot right there. But yeah, I'm surprised Tangelo didn't make it. Really.
Yeah, me too. I did have him making the roster, but I thought if anyone, it would have been Abdullah Anderson that sort of replaced him on the roster. So Timmy Horn, he had that like mental error, but that was otherwise I thought he had a really good game against the Jaguars. So I know athletically really high ceiling.
That was the penalty,
yeah, on the field goal. Yeah, so I mean that's a dumb thing, but I'm glad that the team didn't like crush him for that. I mean it's preseason, like get it out, now, get it out the preseason, get those jitters out. But on anything on Quentin Bell, Timmy Horn, or any other guys that you were surprised ended up making the roster?
Quentin Bell had that amazing. He had that amazing pump block in the last game. I think that may have been what put him over the top. He also had another really good play after that. I think it was either a sack or a tackle for loss. was something very impressive, or maybe it was like a batted down pass. But that pump block wasn't the only huge highlight for him. But yeah, no, Tangelo, I legitimately thought Tangelo would make it just off the strength of that last Jaguars game alone. Like, he was an absolute terror against the run. Kevin, you and I did the play-by-play of it, and I just remember I just kept saying his name over and over again. I think he had like three or four run stops. He had a tackle for loss. Like, he was incredibly impressive. But yeah, I mean, I get it regarding roster construction. Horn did have that mental error, but I think he had that huge moment against the Lions with that fumble recovery on the botched snap, which led to that Jared Bernhardt game-winning touchdown that we mentioned earlier. I think that really helped his case as well. It's just interesting with some of these guys. You can kind of pinpoint the one moment where it's like, yeah, he probably made the roster because of this one moment right here, and that's really cool because, you know, technically that is like a life-changing moment probably for a few of these guys.
Yeah.
Is the squad filled? I mean, I know that
I see 12 of 16 right now.
Okay.
I have the list of the 12, so I'll read it off here in a minute once we're.
And Tangelo's on it.
Tangelo is on it.
Tangelo's on the practice squad.
Yep,
Right,
he is.
cool.
I'll go ahead and read it off, the guys that we know of, just so you guys know.
All right.
The ones that are official, that were official earlier: Caleb Huntley, the running back. I know a lot of people are excited about that one. Center Ryan Newsel, the Newsflash. Michael Pruitt, the tight end. Wide receiver Cameron Batson. Defensive back Tease Tabor. A new face, wide receiver Josh Ali, who I guess the team visited with last week. So he gets added. And then as of tonight, we have Justin Schaefer, the guard. Derek Tangelo, the defensive lineman. Jordan Brailford, the edge rusher. Matt Hankins, the undrafted corner. Tyler Vrabel, the undrafted tackle. And then Frank Darby was the other one. So we have 12 of 16.
There's no way in hell he was going to cut Vrabel. There's no way.
He couldn't just let Vrabel. Yeah. Matt Vrabel. He would never let him get away with it. Yeah.
Never let him get away with it. Nope, they probably would stop talking. Yeah, that's I was wondering. I asked because I figured if Tangelo wasn't on that list that you just read off, that I figured he would take one of those 4 remaining spots. But now that I know he's there, very well deserving of it. Would not be surprised if he gets a call up at some point in the season. Me personally, I think he deserves a roster spot. He deserves a 53 role, in my opinion. But would not be surprised if he gets the call up at some point. Yeah, I think with a guy like Quentin Bell, I mean, I kind of sort of like experience helped him along the way because I mean he was on the practice squad last year. So I think just the name and having the familiarity with the coaching staff kind of helped him along with his play, including, you know, like that big play against the Jags. You know, of course, I also wanted to bring this up. I do like the fact that the league has upped the number to 16.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In terms of the practice squad players, that can be very useful. And I'm excited. I'm curious to see who's going to fill out the other 4. Who do you guys think? I mean,
I think we'll see a quarterback. I don't know which one, but I think we will see a quarterback added.
Just do it. Just do it.
Eric, you're going to anger Felipe Hive, okay? They're in the chat.
Just do it. Look, I'd rather him be a quarterback on the practice squad than tight end 4 and not even being active. It's wasting the spot.
Yeah, but he can be tight end 4 and a quarterback on the active.
Yeah, how many guys can do that?
Not many. In fact, only one.
Oh, yeah. God. All right. So a quarterback. All right, a quarterback. Who else?
Yeah,
I'm surprised to see another edge on there.
Yeah, we got Brailford, but right now it's just one.
I'm a little discouraged that Allison got away, man. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think I wonder if they offered Allison and he was just like, I want to go someplace where I have like a chance to actually make it, like Dallas.
He looked like a different player. He looked slimmer. He looked a little quicker. He looked a lot more confident. I really like what I saw from him this offseason, man. It just special teams value alone. I thought he deserved a spot on the 53 because this is a kid that we've seen it since he's been here, since he's been in Atlanta. You just put him out there on the field on special teams, the guy's going to give 110% every single time. But just him as a running back, I think his game as a running back elevated this year. And I'm a little shocked that he got away. To be honest with you, and I've seen both of you guys talked about it before on Twitter. I know they're keeping Avery Williams around because of his versatility, but I mean, I'd rather just bank on the better running back in this situation and have Ollison take that role over Avery Williams. That's just me. But
it's because of the special teams. That's the thing. Like, because almost always the fourth running back's just inactive. So it's sort of the reverse Felipe Franks, right? Where it's like Avery Williams is actually going to be activated as the fourth running back because he's the returner and all this other stuff. So it's like, I get that. I get why they did that. But I also see what you're saying, that you'd rather have like a runner able there. But I guess they could always activate Huntley, like if they needed like a reserve running back. But
I don't think they ever really had a plan to have Ollison on the active roster going into training camp, because I spoke with Avery Williams for a little bit in camp, and he said that was a full coaching staff decision to move him over to running back. They came to him and they asked him to move over from cornerback to running back. And I think that kind of sealed the fate of Ollison and Huntley, barring something catastrophic from the other running backs, because Cordero Patterson was going to be on the roster. We know that. They signed Damien Williams, who's the veteran running back, and whom they gave all those first team snaps to. They pretty much played Williams with all the first teamers all preseason. And then you had Tyler Algier.
So you think he exceeded their expectations, at least Ollison did, as far as what they expected from him as a running back this offseason? You think he kind of placed their backs against the wall a little bit?
Possibly. Ollison looked good, but I don't think that they ever really intended to have Ollison on the 53 man. And that's why it's not surprising to me that Ollison got away and went to another team's practice squad. Because, yeah, he looked good, but he was never really given, I don't want to say a fair opportunity, because that's not fair to the team to say that they were just unfair. But I think with moving Avery Williams to the fourth running back role, I think that sealed Ollison's and Huntley's fate. I don't think that they were ever seriously considered for the 53 man.
Because it's at this point how it's looking, and maybe my perception of it is wrong, and if it is, you guys please tell me. Avery got a spot mainly because of his return ability, and it has nothing to do with him as a running back, because if that's the case, he was lapped this preseason by both Huntley and Ollison as a running back.
I think he only got like a handful of carries.
If that, he didn't even. I don't even think he played in the final preseason game.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think the intention was ever that Avery Williams is going to be a contributor at running back. I think they just wanted to open up that extra cornerback slot by moving Avery Williams over, because Avery Williams was always going to be on the team. He's a great returner.
He's going to be a pass catcher. They were doing. They told me not to talk about it, but I did notice them doing a lot of really cool stuff with Avery Williams in the passing game. I don't know if that will be an every week thing for him, but I think they really like him as a sort of Cordero Patterson light, in terms of he's not really going to offer a ton as a carrier of the football, but as a receiver potentially, someone that they really like that aspect of his game. So take from that whatever you will, but I think it's the combination of the special teams, he's the returner, plus the passing game role is why they're keeping him over a third like runner of the football, or basically a fourth runner of the football, I guess it would be.
Okay.
I think they're fine keeping like Huntley to be like a guy they can call up from the practice squad if they needed to, but I think they're only going to activate 3 running backs on game day anyway. So Avery Williams being a fourth guy they can activate as the returner, I mean, it technically gives them some extra running
Some
back
wiggle.
depth, but I think he's mostly going to play if he gets on the field on offense, it's going to be as a receiving option out of the backfield or the slot or wherever he happens to line up. So I think that's what they're looking at.
Okay. All right.
I know you like Olsen. You've been a big Olsen fan ever since he was drafted. So
because I mean I am because I think Allison is a guy that plays beyond his talent. You know, he's not the most athletic running back, never will be the fastest or nor the most shiftiest, but he's a guy that is confident in his running style and his running play, and you can see it in this, you know, this preseason. You know, it got, especially in that Jaguars game, they didn't want to tackle him.
no.
That Jaguars defense didn't want to tackle him or Huntley. They were tired that second half. And I just like what he brings to the table for that particular scheme. But you know, if you're convincing me that Avery Williams is going to bring a certain dynamic to the offense, okay, all right, we better see it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think when they drafted Tyler Algier, that was sort of what ended the hope for Quadri Ellison to actually make it. Because I think they were like, we're going to keep 3 runners and a 4th guy, depending, like, maybe Avery Williams works out or whatever. But I feel like that 4th guy, since it's generally a guy that's going to be inactive anyway, they're sort of like okay with Avery Williams being that guy. And maybe someday he'll be able to contribute on the ground. That's like a scat back sort of guy. But, you know, can he pass block? I don't know.
I think they just value the extra spot on defense more than anything, because
I think so. Yeah.
Why else would they just ask him to move positions over to run? I mean, he wasn't like a special cornerback. He's a special returner.
He can still play corner too, like he did in that preseason game. Like he played like a handful of snaps at corner just to show that he could. But
if he's playing corner,
that's a bad sign. But it's like that's like if you have 2 corner injuries and you have to play dime. It's like, okay, well, Avery, get out there. Because he knows the scheme. You know, he's been in it for a year. So
we'll have Avery at cornerback, and when the defense gives up a touchdown, we'll trot Franks out there as a quarterback, and then, you know.
Well, if Avery ever catches an interception, he's gonna take it to the house because he's, you know, the returner. So that's
he got a lot of nickel burn last year, man.
He did.
He looked so out of place.
He's just too small for the NFL at corner.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but. Because I don't think his, like, coverage was poor necessarily. It's just, like, he was just getting mossed by guys that were bigger than him all the time. And it's like, in the NFL, like, you can't just be a tiny slot. Like, it's tough. It's really tough to do that.
And then you're asking him to blitz.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man. Like,
yeah. I think he's, like, a serviceable, like, 5th or 6th corner, but not necessarily a guy you'd want to keep at corner. But as a guy that could be your emergency reserve corner if you have catastrophic injuries, that's fine. Like, he won't be, like, playing another position at corner or something. But
and again, I get it. You know, his return ability is different. Is what sets him apart. But I think at least if we're talking special teams, I think Allison had special team ace potential. Because we've seen it. He's a guy that is able to get downfield as a gunner, make tackles, get physical in that particular aspect. But you know, I guess they got a certain plan when it comes to Avery Williams. We'll see what happens from here on out. But I'd rather have kept Allison. But
I got you. Yeah, I mean, I think their gunners are sort of set because they have Kadarius Hodge, who we all know is like one of the NFL's best gunners, and then they have Mike Ford is the other one. So it's like, I agree, like Allison has been very good as a gunner, but if they were already had those 2 veterans to do that, maybe that's part of the reason why they felt like they didn't necessarily need to keep him as much. Because they kind of made an effort to go out and get 2 elite gunners this offseason.
Yeah, and in fairness, we've been looking for a returner since I don't even know when.
It's been a while. So
since who? Hester?
Yeah, and that wasn't even prime.
And
it was like,
it wasn't even prime Hester, right?
Yeah, like I think Williams last year had the best year as a returner for the Falcons since Weems' first stint, and that was like 2010.
Oh man, Eric Weems.
Yep. Yeah, he had 2 stints. wasn't quite as good the second time around.
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler the first time, and then
Yeah.
Man, when they were trying to squeeze something out of him that second time around. I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
it ain't there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know you have it in you, Eric, but we know it's in. It just wasn't in there. He didn't have it.
Yeah. JL Hunt, Mike Ford did get cut today. So did Dean Marlowe, but I think there's like a 95% chance they're both back tomorrow. After they put guys on IR, because I think like Mike Ford and Dean Marlowe are like, these are two guys that like you want on your roster, but like no teams are going to be like itching to sign. And also I don't think what's that? I'm sorry.
Teams manipulate the IR stuff.
Yeah,
all
they
the
do.
time, where it's like, all right, we'll cut. They probably like cut them, but gave them like a wink or like a handshake agreement of
exactly. We're gonna get you back tomorrow, and also like Mike Ford and Dean Marlowe as like more than 4-year veterans, they don't have to go through waivers either, so there's no risk of a team claiming them. For those that don't know, only players like on their rookie contract or in the first 4 years actually are subject to waivers. Everybody else just gets cut. So that's part of the reason they picked those two, I imagine.
And it's the same with Berkshire. I think he's beyond that 4-year mark.
Exactly. Yep.
Where they probably told Anthony Berkshire, like, we wish you the best in the future. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday. Anthony, don't clean out your locker.
Anthony, take the rest of the day off. Go home, keep your feet up.
Yeah, I think that the Bucs did the same thing with Logan Ryan yesterday, and they re-signed him today. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I just went out and like volunteered for a day instead of practicing or something." So it's like, oh, that's nice. But that's what they're doing. Like until Tuesday of next week rolls around, this roster is subject to change a bunch. It won't change that much, but like they'll shuffle 2 or 3 guys here and there over the next week.
Who doesn't like a day off?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's like you don't have to show up to practice. It's great. Yeah. Any other interesting keeps or cuts or practice squad additions that you guys want to talk about? We didn't get to everyone. I know like Colby Gossett, I was sort of surprised he got cut, considering that I thought he played pretty well at guard once again this preseason. Eric, any other notable players that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, man. In terms of roster,
I mean, it could just be it could be just in general because you haven't had a chance to wax poetic about any of these guys. So if there's any guys that you wanted to touch on that you haven't had a chance to touch on yet, go for it.
Desmond Ritter.
Yeah.
This preseason. Yeah. I don't know when he'll play because and someone asked me about this on Twitter a few weeks ago. I don't know when he'll play, because Mariota hasn't shown anything that says, okay, maybe Mariota can't be the guy for him this year. Mariota has looked, pretty solid all around. But Desmond Ritter, man, the little things when it comes to Desmond Ritter, the pre-snap reads, the movement in the pocket, just he will never be, and I'm going out on a limb a little bit when I say this, he will never be an elite passer in the league. Never. But I truly feel he can. I said this around draft time. I truly feel, man, the ceiling of he has a Dak Prescott ceiling.
Yeah. I think that's a good comp for him. Yeah.
You can let him develop a little bit more. Continue to build the roster around him. He's going to be a type of quarterback. He's not going to be that type of quarterback like the Josh Allens or the Mahomes or the Herberts, where he can make any receiving core, a threat on offense.
Yeah.
But if you give him the right components around him, I think he can be a guy that can develop into a quarterback that can win you some games and lead a deep playoff run. I really like what I saw from Ritter this offseason, this preseason. And I think they got something here. It remains to be seen what happens next offseason in free agency. I'm not going to lean in that direction too far. I think you got a general idea as far as what I'm talking about there. But I want to fan the flames a little bit on anybody that honestly sits here and thinks that the team is just looking at CJ Stroud and Bryce Young and say, our guy is there. There's a general consensus in the building that Desmond Ritter is their guy. And I think he's shown some stuff this preseason that leads, that feeds into that a little bit. I can't wait to see how he develops, but I really like what I saw from him. I don't see a guy that's nervous at all.
Yeah.
I don't see a guy that's scared of the light. I don't see a guy that's scared of the opportunity. I see a guy that's confident. I see a guy that wants to learn. I see a guy that wants to adapt. I see a guy that wants to take criticism and wants to get better every single day. So.
Yeah. I mean, Arthur Smith talked about that, right? Like, he's like, oh no, like, I'm going to chew his ass out on the sideline every time he makes a mistake because I'm treating him like a veteran. Like, and he did. Yeah. And he did.
And what did you see? The most impressive, forget the game when it tested out against Detroit. The most impressive point of the entire preseason to me was that second drive after he threw his first interception against the Jags. That was the most impressive moment of the entire preseason for me. He threw an interception, first play of the game, wasn't the greatest throw, threw it, he's drifting to his left, threw back to the middle, didn't even set his feet. So what does he do? He comes back the next drive, leads a 15-play drive. I think goes 4 for 4 or 5 for 5.
5 for 5, yeah.
4 third-down conversions, and then throws a touchdown to Algier, and that right there told me, like, okay, this kid, this
gotta have a short memory. Gotta have a short memory.
A short memory. This kid's got it. There's something about him that's like, all right, I threw a pick, forget it. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna take the lead next drive, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you gotta be able to do that in the NFL, right? You have to be able to throw a pick, because even Matt Ryan threw picks. Like, everybody throws picks. It happens. Right. You got to be able to recover from that, come back, get right back on the horse, and pick up where you left off and go erase that mistake. And that's exactly what he did. Now, it's against second stringers, but again, like, it's still impressive for a rookie to do that. Like, some quarterbacks you'll see, they throw that pick, and it's like, now the game's over. Like, it's catastrophic. They can't recover from it. It's with them all game. They're timid or they're too aggressive or whatever.
Look at it this way. If he came out and had a terrible drive after that, you would say, what would be the criticism there? He would get thrown under the bus at that point. Oh, this kid doesn't have it. He's not the guy. So yeah, you want to, for those who want to sit here and say, oh, he did it against second stringers. Well, you would probably throw him to the depths of hell if he came out and threw another pick right after that. But he didn't. He led his team on a 15-play scoring drive. So that was impressive, man. I think Ritter, there is a general consensus in the building that Ritter can be the guy going forward.
Yes, and he's not where Mariota is yet. I know people are getting like we're trying to denigrate Mariota. We're not. Like, Mariota did every single thing you could ask of him in the preseason. Looked great.
Yes.
So this has nothing to do with Marcus Mariota, and I honestly hope that like Mariota plays really well, and then we get to see Ritter play really well, and then like we can trade Mariota potentially to a team that needs a starter for some decent draft capital, and then the Falcons can start, Ritter next year, and like everybody's happy, everybody wins. Like, that's my hope. But
I think he will. I think Mariota this preseason reminded folks, like, damn, he's a damn good athlete. Yeah, I think people forgot about that.
And not just preseason, he looked great in training camp.
He was really good.
He looked refreshed. Like, he looked reinvigorated in training. It feels like he was given like a second wind to his career. With this group.
And I again, that is an element that I think can truly help out the playbook, help out the offense. The fact that now, please, nothing against Matt Ryan. I love Matt Ryan to death. The greatest quarterback in Falcons history, absolutely. But he was a sitting duck at times in that pocket. That element is not there anymore, because now you have a legit athlete that can say, like, I want teams to go man heavy against Mariota.
Yeah, go for it.
And
try
and
it.
Watch it happen.
Mm-hmm. Teams could do that against Matt Ryan. Like, and that's just, it's different flavors of quarterback. Like, Matt Ryan's an elite pocket passer. That's what he is. But the thing about pocket passers, they can be really good. I mean, you see with Tom Brady, right? Like, he's one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the NFL year after year as a passer, but he has to have the offensive line. Like, you can't make that work without the offensive line. And the Falcons never could get the offensive line right, so the switch to a more mobile style of quarterback that can maybe overcome a little bit more offensive line issues, probably wise considering the state of the offensive line at this point. So,
right.
Yeah.
He sent a gentle reminder across the NFL. And again, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to come out and win comeback play of the year, but I think he was able to, refresh the memory of folks as far as why he was such a threat in college, why, he is, even with him being on the field, he may not be the greatest of passers, but again, him being on the field, your linebackers are going to stay in their zone just a second longer. Your safeties are going to not be on their assignment just a half a second longer because they're weary of Mariota leaking out and showing the athleticism on the perimeter and beat you that way. So it can make a difference on the offense. That can, again, those little things can lead to a touchdown. It can lead to Pitts getting open a little bit more because, again, the defenders are like, is he going to leave? He's going to take off the run. What is he going to do? Like, it's just so. I think Mariota even looked really solid this offseason, and I'm excited to see him with a new offense and under full go, good health. Let's see what he can do out there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like it. Any other thoughts on the quarterback competition, Adnan? I know you came back right in the middle of that, so.
It's I'm excited. Desmond Ritter looked really good in the preseason. I heard you guys talking about the picks / would-be picks against the Jags. Like he bounced back from that. That first pass was really bad too. Like
it was way behind.
He knew it. And he knew it.
Like
he knew
his
it.
footwork was just like all off, and he was just like throwing it off his back foot, and it was behind. It was just a really bad. The second pick is whatever. That was like right before the half. Like I don't know. Chalk that up as whatever. But you guys were talking about just the bounce back, and he did a hell of a job of bouncing back after the pick, and it's the same in that Lions game. He threw the interception, which was eradicated for the roughing the passer penalty, and I think after he got that second chance, I think he led the Falcons on that scoring drive. Fast forward and end of the game, last drive, he throws what should have been an interception, which was dropped by the Detroit Lions DB. Gets away with that and ends up throwing that pass to Bernhardt for the game winner. He seems like a veteran out there. Like
yes.
he does not seem like your rookie quarterback who's caught in the headlights. This wasn't a competition. The Falcons said from day one of training camp, Mariota's the guy. This isn't a quarterback competition, and it wasn't. Mariota looked better in preseason and in training camp overall. But I don't think anyone. Well, I don't want to say anyone. I don't think many people were expecting Ritter to just come in and just beat out the veteran who's been doing this for years and who himself was a former number 2 overall pick and a former Heisman winner. I think a lot of people forget that how good Mariota was in college. But I think both quarterbacks showed out throughout this period. I'm really happy with what I saw. I think Mariota is going to have a bit of a resurgence to start the season. And also, I remember I was watching Dan Orlovsky, ESPN plug here for Eric, but Dan Orlovsky was like talking about Ritter the other day, and he said that it looked like Ritter looks like his arm is like 20% stronger preseason than it was in college, which I don't know what he's been doing, in the offseason. He does finally have like a legitimate professional workout regimen. No disrespect to the Cincinnati Bearcats, but the Falcons are like a legit NFL team, giving them a legitimate workout regimen. But that would be huge. Like imagine if Ritter's just out here and his his arm is just way better than we thought it was coming out of the draft. Like that's game-changing type stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, we'll see what happens. I think Ritter will get his chance eventually this season. I can't exactly.
He definitely thought Ritter was the best QB coming out. That's no.
Yeah.
I don't think Orlovsky is shocked at all by what he sees from Ritter. He was very happy. And I want to make this quick note. This is not the worst roster in the league, man.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The Houston Texans exist.
The Bears do too.
Yes.
Okay? I don't know what is wrong with people looking at this roster on paper or looking at a few plays here and there, looking at names and saying this is a 2-15 team. This is not the worst.
Today.
Huh?
USA Today. Yeah.
This is not the worst roster in the league by any means. Like, they're not a playoff team,
right?
But this is a competitive roster. This is a team. They're probably going to lose more games than they win, yes, but I think they're really going to be in a lot more games than people give them credit for. Like,
yeah, no, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be competitive. Yeah,
definitely. I am keeping receipts too. I just want to let people know that.
Yeah.
I'm keeping receipts.
Oh yeah, no, you should. Yeah, and like I agree. I think the team will be fine. I think they're gonna lose more games than they won last year, just because of the schedule and all this other stuff. But like, two wins, like, ridiculous. Like I'm predicting 6 still. I mean, they could win more, but like, I just
call me crazy. I'm still going 7-10. Call me crazy. I don't care.
Crazy. If this is our this isn't our final. We'll have one next week, but my official prediction is probably 5-12.
I think they steal a win or two.
I think they can.
I think they steal a win or two that they're not supposed to get. And there's the way the season has shaped itself a little bit. I mean, you're going to be playing a Browns team with no Deshaun now, like, who's that quarterback now. I'm still not concerned much about what's going on in Carolina. They named Baker the starter, but let's be honest here.
It's not about the quarterback anymore. It's about Matt
not
Rule.
about the quarterback. Like, yeah. Like that. I don't even know what they want to do on offense or how they're going to approach their offensive scheme. Yes, McCaffrey's back in the fold. We'll see how that goes. I don't think it is a tougher schedule than last year, but I think it shapes it, especially on the back end. It shapes itself out a little bit because on the back end, you got the Bears, you got the Steelers, who, I'll be quite honest with you, I would not be surprised if the Steelers are in 4th place in the AFC this year.
Yeah.
You got a Cardinals team that
they always suck late in the year.
Exactly. You got them at home late in the year. So,
after Call of Duty comes out and Kyler Murray's game just falls off a cliff.
Yep.
That's what Reddit is theorizing.
Who knows what Cardinals team we'll see at that point in the season. I think they may steal a couple wins, and I'm still looking at 7-10. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care. It happens. That's part of it. That's part of this profession. But I'm still thinking 7-10 with this team, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly within the realm of possibility. So we'll just see. It's going to come down to, like, if they're like, whatever it was, like 7-1 in 1-score games like they were last year, like, they're probably going to, if they keep up that sort of close game superiority, they'll win a lot more games than people expect. But
I don't know how feasible that is. Like,
I don't think it's very feasible.
That always seems to regress back.
It does.
Like, one way or another.
Right.
I remember a couple of years ago the team was 0-8 in 1-score games.
Yeah.
I think what's going to give them somewhat of an edge, at least early on in the season, is defense is not knowing how to defend this offense.
Right. They don't have a quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, now, because again, you're used to seeing Matt Ryan out there for 14 years. Now you got an athlete like Mariota. Do you go man heavy? You go man heavy. You know what I'm saying? You're leaving a linebacker on the island on his own against Mariota one-on-one. Do you go zone? If you go zone, you allow a guy that you may not allow him to escape the pocket, but they've got they've got weapons. A guy like Kyle Pitts, you really want to let Kyle Pitts just roam loosely in zone coverage? Okay,
Right.
Sure. All right, let's see how that works. I mean, Cordero flanking Mariota at times too, like that's going to be intriguing. Like it's just, I think early on, I don't think teams are going to know how to defend this offense, and it's not going to be a Kansas City Chiefs style offense by any means. But I would not be surprised if this is a team that's putting up, 20, 23, 24 points a game early on in the season and making defenses a little nervous because, again, you don't know how to approach them.
Yeah, I agree. And like they do have the personnel, I think, in terms of the weaponry to finally be able to punish teams for focusing all their attention on Pitts. And I think they're still going to focus most of their attention on Pitts, but like Drake London's probably going to show that he can beat single coverage pretty easily, and what Cordero Patterson can do.
If we ever see him on the practice field again.
Yeah. I think he'll be back for week 1, but it's you got to be really careful with hamstrings. Like if he doesn't need, like I suspect he'll start practicing next week, but I don't think you rush him back before then.
All right.
I thought it was the knee.
Or maybe it was a knee.
Yeah,
I'm getting it confused with somebody else.
It's Miles Sanders' hamstring right
that's
now.
right. That's probably
It's weird because and someone mentioned it today, how Arthur Smith is taking the Mike Vrabel approach when it comes to injuries, especially this one in particular. Not putting anything out there, which is it comes from Vrabel, but it really stems from Bill Belichick, who's just they never put anything out there in terms of injuries. So you never know. I just look at how they constructed the roster, and the way that they constructed the roster so far makes me think, okay, they're not greatly concerned, because if they were, they probably would have kept another receiver or added another receiver on the practice squad at least. They only added 2 so far that I believe. But
Three.
Yeah, 3. Josh Ali, Frank Darby, and Cameron Batson. Yeah.
So I think if they were truly concerned as far as Drake missing a week or even the first 4 weeks, you would have saw some more movement there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I do want to see him out on the practice field though. Like
yeah, we all do.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he'll be out long term because they would have already put him on
they already put him on IR, right? Yeah.
And that would have been negligence if they didn't, if he misses 3 weeks. But yeah, no, I think he'll be fine for week 1. It's just very annoying from a media perspective.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is frustrating. But I think we will see him week 1, and I think he'll be practicing next week, is my opinion. Just they'll keep it easy, keep it safe, and then start practicing next week in preparation for Game 1, Week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. Hate Week, folks. It's on the horizon. Almost here. Guys, before we get to Hate Week next week, Eric, thank you for joining us. He's at @Eric_Robinson. Eric, anything else you'd like to plug before you take off?
Nothing, man. Check out the Falcoholic. That's the one-stop shop for everything you need. Falcons.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric, for coming on. Really appreciate you. Adnan, also with us tonight at Say Which Way. Adnan, anything you're working on you'd like to let the people know about?
Yeah, I have that Jared Bernhardt article that I mentioned earlier in the show. That's going to go tomorrow. I think at noon is when it was set up. Yeah, that's basically pretty much talking about his journey from through college and into the NFL, and it goes in depth about what we saw from him in training camp in the preseason.
Yeah, definitely check that out, guys. Great work there by Adnan. I read like the first couple paragraphs, but I've been busy today. Yeah, guys, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic. Kevin, I will start to have fresh content coming your way next week. This weekend I'll be in Atlanta for Dragon Con, not for Falcons related activities. So I will be posting costume updates. It is done, for those asking. It is complete. I still have to pack it up tonight. You'd be surprised how many pieces there are. I'm also surprised how many pieces there are. But yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. So if you're going to be in Atlanta for Dragon Con, hit me up on the Twitters. I'll come say hi. But yeah, guys, really appreciate everyone for hanging out tonight. All the usual stuff, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate those metrics. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. If you want to support the show on a monthly basis, really appreciate everyone for doing that. Welcome back, Thomas Childers, as well, to the Patreon group. I know Thomas was with us for a while, took a little hiatus in his back. We always appreciate everyone there, so thank you, Thomas. And yeah, guys, we'll be back. For next show will probably be next Wednesday. And then we'll be going to our in-season schedule. We'll have a game preview show coming out on Fridays with Alan Stirk as giving me my co-host for that. So you can look forward to that additional episode every week too, because let's be honest, we never really got to the game preview on the Wednesday show. It just is always something we sort of tacked on to the end. So we'll give that its own 30-minute show going forward, and then on Sundays or whatever day the game is, we will have our post-game live show, which of course is a favorite of all of us here at Falcoholic Live, so you can join us for that as well. May also be an early week show. Not entirely sure yet. If there is one, it'll probably be like a film recap or something. But yeah, guys,
really got you through the grinder, huh?
Right? Yeah, I know. It's like
you're entering Aaron Freeman level.
I know that. I'm just I don't want that. I'm going with 3. I think 3 is good. You guys can let me know. I think normal people, and I love all the degenerates, of course, that join us. For like day 3 of the draft and like late in the 3rd preseason game. But I think most people probably can stomach like 3 pods a week for a show. I think if you get past that, it's just sort of diminishing returns, but that's my opinion. I don't.
The people in the chat right now will tell you they want as many as possible.
Probably. So, Corey. For those interested in like a pregame chat or like a game day sort of thing, you can join the Discord. The link is in the show description. There's like 400 or 500 Falcons fans in there now. It always gets pretty rowdy on game days. There's definitely a lot of chat going on in there, so that would be a good place, I think, to look for that. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 208. Until next week, week 1 just around the corner. We're almost there, folks. Thank you again, Eric. Thank you, Adnan, and we will see you next time, folks. Have a great night.